So I'm going to skip down to Mahoney Rux. Same logic applies. Who got the money? Why did they get the money? Any other notes I want to include, click Add. So again, this is what I want you to do when you're working on your QuickBooks and you've suddenly become the bookkeeper and you don't know where to start. Maybe you were the bookkeeper but took a little break from it and realized you need to get back to it. Just start here and start small. Most of the time, you're not going to have this one record found, so I'm really not going to cover that in this video. I just want you to know, like, come in here, sort it by date, get the oldest stuff done. Once you get stuff done and you're ready for a break, take a break. When you're ready to come back, I'd like you to reconcile your bank account. So by reconcile, I want you to compare your QuickBooks against your bank statement. I want you to look for any missing transactions and add them if needed, and I want you to look for any duplicate transactions and fix them as needed. The idea is that eventually, well, two ideas. First of all, your bank balance wouldn't be negative $3,000, but this is the magic of the sample file. Your bank balance and your QuickBooks balance should match. If they don't match, you should be able to explain why. Maybe you've got a paper check that you've written and it hasn't cleared. Maybe you have deposits on your desk you haven't, deposited at the bank. Otherwise, these things should match. So let me show you how to reconcile. There's a handful of ways to get there. What we'll do is we'll click on the left-hand side where it says Accounting. We'll go down to the word Reconcile. And then it pops up with this person. Click on Get Started and Let's Do It. And a handful more pop-ups. I want you to grab your bank statement. I want you to verify that the beginning balance that shows up here in QuickBooks is the same as the beginning balance or the last month balance from your bank statement. Enter whatever balance appears on your bank statement. So this isn't what shows up in QuickBooks. This is when you look at your paper statement, what does it say for your ending balance? And then enter the date. So for this example, I don't have a paper statement to show you, so pretend that I'm looking at the statement on my second screen. Once I've entered the ending balance as it appears on my bank statement, and once I enter the date that appears on my bank statement, I'm going to click on Start Reconciling. And then for everything that shows up on my bank statement, I'm going to check it off. What I'm looking for is to make sure everything on my bank statement gets checked off in QuickBooks, that I don't have anything in QuickBooks that doesn't get a check mark. If I have anything that doesn't get a check mark, that means I have duplicate data, which is messing up my financial reports. I want my difference to go to 0. Once I get my difference to 0, and I make sure there's nothing here that's unchecked, and then everything on my bank statement got checked, I can click on Finish Now. This is going to be a little bit tedious, but I need you to repeat that process for each of your bank accounts for every single month. So if you're a year behind, I need you to do it 12 times. Thankfully, as you just saw, it goes very, very quickly. Once you get through that, then I want you to double check yourself and just double check your categories. So this is not a foolproof system, but it's a really good system to get you comfortable. On the left-hand side, I'll have you click on Reports. In the Favorites box, click on the text Profit and Loss. If that text doesn't show up for you, you can always search Profit and Loss in the upper right-hand corner. This report will be available to you no matter which edition of QuickBooks Online you're using. This is not a special report limited to the higher editions. So now you've got your profit and loss, and the first thing you see is that there's no way to change the date ranges. I need you to scroll up. Either use the bar on the right, or you can use the mouse wheel, but I need you to scroll up so you can change your date range. So right now it says this year to date. That's fine for this example. And then just below it, it says display columns by, and it says total only. And what that's saying is for this date range, show me the total of each of these categories, right? Each of these different incomes and each of these different expenses. What I'm going to propose is that you say display columns by months and then click Run Report to the right. What I want you to look for is just, do you see any gaps where you say, that doesn't make any sense? Or do you see any spikes where you say, oh my gosh, that doesn't make any sense? So earlier we organized and we put away all the money. And then we double checked to make sure that all of our numbers matched our bank statement. And now we're going to look at our categories and just say, do our categories make sense? So every so often we make mistakes. No big deal, we can fix them. So what I'm doing is I'm looking at it and saying, okay, here's my income. Let me just go to total income here. This demo file, QuickBooks made it like extra complicated by creating accounts and sub-accounts and more sub-accounts. I'm going to click collapse, and now it's going to look more like your QuickBooks. If you have sub-accounts and more sub-accounts, that's great. Most of us don't, so most of us are going to see a view that looks more like this. So what I'm looking at first is the total income. I'm not making a judgment of what the number is. I'm just looking and saying, does this make sense? So January was low, February was low, March it starts to pick up, April is low. This doesn't make any sense. Technically, it does in COVID times, but when you look at this, think about your business. Did you really go $6,000 in March to $1,700 in April? If you did, great. And if you didn't, then it's a chance for you to say, did I put something in the wrong place? Or say, for example, March, there's no way it was $6,000. Is there any chance that you recorded a transfer from savings to checking and called it income by mistake? Or did you put money into the business because you're the business owner and you had to? Did you accidentally do that and record it as income? I just want you to double check yourself and say, does this make sense? If you see something you don't know if it makes sense, click on the number.